Oh, that's working. Okay, so now we're cooking. Good morning and welcome to another exciting class of MIS 340, I guess. So today we're going to go through assignment 00. I think, has anybody had problems installing Expression Web at all? No, we've had some issues with people trying to install Visual Studio through the control panel. But in here, remember Expression Web, the best way to get it is to go out to, what do you call that? DreamSpark. Alright, so go to DreamSpark, the instructions are there. Get your password reminder if you're having a problem. But once you go out to DreamSpark, you can go out, get the Expression Web software and download it. You have to get the ISO program, virtual drive, install that. But again, remember, anything that's out here, anything that shows up here on this DreamSpark WSUBA site, you can download it, put it on your computer. Except for Mr. Gerson, he still likes Macs, right? No, he doesn't. You've seen the light, haven't you? No? You've seen the light, you don't like Macs anymore?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're just saying. But if you want to learn how to use any other software, do it. And if you're whining that you're not getting enough SQL Server in this class, which somebody was whining about, oh yeah, that's right, Corey said that, but he's out of the class already. You can go get SQL Server 2014 and figure out how to put it on your computer and run it. I don't think I'd put it directly on your computer. You might want to put on like a virtual machine first. So download VMware Workstation, which you're going to have to do anyway for this class. But we'll do that later on. Okay, enough about blah, 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 blah. All right, remember the book is available up here. How much does a book cost online? Like $40 for the... And you got to watch out, there's different versions of it. At first they had it... Oh, Corey Tyndall. Did they give you your money back?
Yeah, I returned it and then I just bought the
okay.
Or smart website.
Okay, what was it, like 40 or 45 bucks?
Yeah, it was like 45, 49 or something.
How long does it last till?
February, yeah, February. It's like 6 months.
Okay. I suppose that's better than, what is it normally, 120 bucks for the paper copy or something? Did anybody find a paper copy used somewhere cheap? No? Everyone going to use the electronic copy? Anybody try using it on their iPad yet?
I don't know. I have it on my tablet.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What kind of tablet you got?
Nexus 10.
Oh, that's not a school one then.
No, it's not
Oh, you got a regular one. Okay, cool. All right. Has anybody tried Air Display yet on the tablets? So,
Can't make it work on VMware.
no?
No.
I'm
not sure why. Trying to figure it out.
It's too many combinations. I think you're pushing it. All right, so get the book. Make sure you get the right one. The bookstore had a problem. They had the brief or introductory one, which is, you're supposed to have comprehensive, right? Because comprehensive has about, I don't know, 12 or 14 chapters, where the brief or introductory has like the first 4 chapters only. That's why it's less expensive. Okay, so, let's see, is 342? Nope, that's 312. Okay, so let's talk about databases. Should have Expression Web 4 in. We will probably on Tuesday start doing the website. So today we're going to play around with assignment 00, which is make sure you know how to use the technology. Oh, this is going to be really boring for half the class because most of you guys already did this. Oh, God. Should I tell everyone else just go look at integrity recording? I suppose I can't do that, can I? All right. Well, So for assignment 00 here, does anybody not know how to use this or do it? Nobody wants to raise their hand that they don't know how to do it when everyone else knows how to do it, right? If I had to go through this again, we could. I don't know. That's the problem with having you half the, well, it's like 80% of you were in the last class. What do we want to do? All right, at least I'll talk about it. All right, so to do this assignment, if you're already in 312, you've already done it, I'm sure. You can use the same screenshots all over again. But make sure you put your name up here. This SID, the site ID, we'll start using this later on. Oh, I should have said it in the other class. I do this because we get a lot of Johnsons and Andersons and Paulsons, same last names. So it's when I start displaying go back and you want to see all your homework, I do it, break it down by semester and class. But when you have the same semester, same class, the same last name, then you start seeing somebody else's homework. Well, that's why I have the SID, so that you only see your homework and not the other person's. So this can be any alphanumeric combination you want. But you should do the same one for, like I said, we'll be doing attendance, but you should do all your attendance, all your homework, any projects, use the same SID. Make sure you put your first and last name in here. Don't hit the refresh button, otherwise you're going to lose this stuff. External monitor setup. If you don't know how to set up the external monitors, chances are the person next to you knows how to do it. And again, one of those back there, cable's gone. And I forgot to. Can you email Steph and ask her to, or wait, Hefman usually has a bunch of these cables, I think. Yeah, can you email Hefman and ask him if we could have like maybe 6 cables? Like, yeah, because I usually stick them in a drawer here. So if anyone, we're going to start using these cables for your monitor. If you insist on having a Mac, you have to have your adapter, because otherwise you can't use a monitor. But sometimes, a couple things. Sometimes the monitors or the screen starts going like bluish or green or yellowish. If that's the case, most likely the cable's bad, all right? And once in a while when I walk around the classroom, I see somebody's got a blue monitor. I'm like, doesn't that bother you? Oh no, I think it's cool. Oh, the cable's bad. It's not supposed to be like that. So let me know, and that's why I'm going to get, I had a bunch of cables here last year, and we went through them already, so we're going to do it again. Just tell me, and we just give you a new cable, and you can just change it out, unless you happen to like green screens, green people. The other thing is, for those of you with the brand new laptops, the 8470Ws, there's a problem on some of them. Some of them, the VGA port is not centered on the back of the frame, and when you try to stick the VGA cable in, it won't go in. If that's the case, you'll have to go to tech support. We had one student in the last class that had that problem. She's already been down to tech support, and they're going to give her some kind of adapter, I guess they said is available. But I think they can adjust the frame somehow. So make sure, and you can leave class right now if that's your problem. Go down there and get your computer straightened out. Otherwise, plug in your cable, and we're going to show you how to do dual monitors, take the screenshot, because you really need to do this, because what we're going to do after I show you how to use dual monitors, I'm going to turn off the monitor, right? And then you're going to go into the Adobe workroom, all right? So if you're already done this in the last class, my condolences, but make sure you do it again and upload all the screenshots into 342 this time, right? Because you have to do this from the 342 page. Otherwise, you won't get credit for 342. You'll get it for 312. And I didn't set this up, so if you can hack my website and figure out how to change that, you could. All right. So the external monitor, if you plug in the cable, okay, and most computers nowadays have no problem. You plug in the cable, the second monitor will turn on, no problem. If it doesn't automatically turn on, there's a Windows key on the left side of the bottom row, one that has and mine it has, looks like a perspective shot of 4 white squares making up a big white square. That's the Windows key. Then you hit the P button, and you'll get an on-screen display. And if you hold down the Windows button, hold it down, and then hit the P, it toggles between disconnect projector, duplicate, extend, and projector only. I have a problem with HP calling it projector because it's not really the projector, it's the external output for your video. So disconnect projector says, I don't care if I'm hooked up to an external monitor or a projector, only display on my primary screen, which is your laptop. duplicate is also on a Macs. I think they call that mirrored mode. It says show the same on both screens. A lot of people use that. What you really want is extend so that you have more workspace. All right, and then projector only means black out my monitor on my laptop and just show me the external monitor, which I don't know why anybody would want to do that. Well, I suppose there's a reason for it. Okay, so that's a first step. And so far, so good. But then what you got to try to do is see, are your monitors in the right orientation? If not, you might have to stand on your head. Oh, that was a joke. Don't believe everything I say in class. What you'll have to figure out is if you try to move a screen, like the window, I'm moving back and forth here. If that's not working, if you're trying to do it, and it just, no, but if you go the other direction, all of a sudden it works. Like, oh, something's wrong with my orientation of my monitor. Then you right-click a blank area to screen, go to screen resolution, and looky there. There's your monitors. Number one is your laptop, or it should be. Now, if you're really nuts, you want to play around with this, see where it says make this my main display? You can make your second monitor your main display. Then your taskbar will show up on there, and then give your computer to somebody else and let them figure out how to use it. And like, what? Not a good idea to do that. So far in the last 7 years, I had one student do that. It took me a while to figure out what they had done, because it starts acting really bizarre. If you click on detect, it'll look for your monitors. Mine shows up, this says another display not detected. The graphics system must remember that I normally have total of 3 monitors. But it says, hey, there's nothing there right now. Okay, but what you need to do is, okay, monitor 1's my laptop there, and then monitor 2's this one. So this one's to the left of my laptop. If it was the other orientation, okay, our Stone Age video game there, you have to get these things in the right orientation. You can do it, can't you? If not, well, you're going to have a rough life. All right, so if you're having problems with this, ask the person next to you. Say, kind person next to me, what is he talking about? Can you help me out, please? Why did I ever sign up for this class? What does this have to do with databases? Well, it'll make your life much easier if you do it this way. Trust me. Okay, now the other thing is, once you leave class, chances are everything will be okay, and once you disconnect the monitor, your computer will figure out there's no longer a second monitor. But now, like if I have Firefox showing up on an external monitor and I leave class and it's like, oh, wait a second. I try to go to Firefox and it's like not there. Well, it's probably out lost in space, kind of. So normally you can hit the Windows P button and toggle back to disconnect projector, or you can just log out and log in. I don't even think you have to sign out. Just log out and log in and everything should be okay. All right? Okay, so that's the external monitor. You have to do a screenshot, which is what? I want a screenshot with both screens, so have something in both monitors. And I don't care. You can have websites. You can have anything you want. But in order to do a screenshot again, hold down the FN key and hit the print screen button. The print screen is top row on the far right, the second button in from the right, where it says PART or PSC. It has a little white box around it. That means you have to hold on the function key, which is in the bottom left. Second one in from the left, bottom row. Click those and hold on FN and hit print screen, and you just took a screen print. And where did it go? It went to the clipboard. How do I know? Well, watch this. Because you're going to open up Word. I'll get rid of that screenshot. Open up Word, blank document. All right. For page layout, I strongly recommend you go to orientation of landscape, then go to view and say whole page or one page, and then just hit the Control V button, and voila, there is your screenshot. Okay, and then you can just right-click that and say Save As Picture, and save that somewhere. I don't really care where you save it. This is Library Pictures. Oh, that's a good place. Or you could also create, like I told in last class, go into Documents, and I usually create a folder for each class, MIS. At least if I were you, I'd create a folder for each class. And then you can say a new folder inside there if you want, like Assignment. Really want to be OCD about it. And then just call it Screenshot. Alright, so you saved it. There it is. Looks beautiful. This is what you got to upload to D2L. So if we go back to D2L, Are you bored as I am doing this again? The second.
Is this all we're doing today?
Yeah. I should probably just record this integrity so I don't have to do this all over again. But in case somebody says, why didn't he do this again? I don't know what he's talking about. I got to do it. I know. I should just learn how to record and say, here, go look at this. So, just, okay, is everybody have this done already and I can just quit doing this? How many people are on Facebook? Nobody wants to admit it. Does anybody really want me to? I don't want to embarrass somebody that's like, oh my God, I don't want to say anything, but we're all friends in here, aren't you? Yeah. You're high maintenance. Okay, so upload it to the Dropbox. If you have any questions, just ask Josh. Or wait, Mitch. Mitch knows what he's doing. Sometimes.
Do I?
All right. Does anybody? So, if nobody has any other questions on this, because I showed you this. No, I didn't show you this the other day. Okay. Well, the thing. So we'll assume you know how to upload it to Dropbox. Answer this question. All right. On multiple monitors. Why do you want multiple monitors? This makes you a lot more efficient, right? You do more stuff at once. This is what you need to do. Why? Web conferencing. Because I'm going to be worse than your mother this year. I'm going to force you to learn how to use Adobe Connect, right? So there's two different workrooms. The one that is, and so you folks better watch this if you want to see what's going on in the rest of class. Because what are we going to do? If you go look at my home page, up here, this is /MIS. That's the one I broadcast live all the time. And Student X is on there, if you notice, and I'm not telling you who that is, but Student X is a former student who likes to torment me and you guys. So remember, this stuff is open online. Everybody can see it. All right, so when you do this stuff with the Adobe, this is the class that's broadcast. This is here. You see it's /PGP, that's my virtual office. So if you're having problems with homework, you can say, Professor Paulson, please go into your virtual office and let me show you what's going on my screen. What does this mean? Right? But in class now, we have this log into the Adobe Web Classroom, that's /MIS, but where's the workroom? There it is, Adobe Web Workroom. This is /MIS 342. This is the same one that's linked in Assignment 00. When you go into this one, there's a difference. Nice screenshot. Okay, so if you look at the homework, or the Assignment 00, all right, so there's external monitor. The /MIS, the general class, is just broadcast. You can only just look at what I'm broadcasting. This presenter one, that's why you want to go into this /MIS 342 down here that I just went into. Here's another link to it. All right, that's the web workroom for this class. All right, you want to go in there, be able to, because why? You can share files, you can share your computer screen with other people. This is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can go share your stuff and work on homework with each other. All right. If you want to create your own, like Corey Muldrow has, I created his own little web conference room so he can have his own vanity URL. You can invite your friends in and have your own little, you can be presenter. If I happen to be online at the time, I can go into that meeting room and make you host. You can learn even more about Adobe. Okay, so I would strongly recommend you learn how to use this as much as possible, because chances are once you go out in the working world, you're going to be doing web conferencing. Does anybody here do web conferencing on a regular basis on their jobs? No? They're all probably looking at me like, what? Okay, you will. All right, so if you want Adobe, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is now watch your water bottle so I don't step on it and kill you. So I'm going to try not to blind myself. Look at that. I didn't have to dial 911 or anything. That would be too easy. Okay, so I just like to make a fool of myself during class. So let's see what we can do. All right, so now, see how quiet it is without that projector on? So there's a question in here that I'm showing you. It says on assignment 00, view class course recordings use integrity, and the question is, look at integrity recording, and then it says, in Firefox, the proper way to save a web page is by choosing web page HTML only under option save as type. Is that select an option is not really one of the choices? Well, you could leave it like that, I suppose. You don't get any credit for that. Is the answer no, or is the answer yes? So that's basically it's file, save pages. They're talking about here's the options here. Web page complete, web page HTML only, text files, all files. If you want to learn what that's all about, what you do is what? Log into D2L, right? And then go into integrity recordings over here on the right side. And then when integrity recordings pop up, which, why aren't they popping up? They're not supposed to be blocked. Okay, so click on there, there it is. And, oh, that's great. That's not right. Why am I not seeing it? Okay. I think I got a problem. I must still be listed as stupid. Yes, I am. That would be a problem. Okay, let's go back and I'll be teacher. I thought I moved this in last class. Maybe it didn't work. Okay, so this save file is web page. There you are. That save file is web page. Okay. Learn how to use integrity recording. Go in there. If you're really good with this, see at the top where it says search in this recording, you can go search for, instead of listening to all 2 minutes of me whining, go in there and say save as file. And it'll take you right to the right place. All right. The cool thing about integrity is you can search an individual recording or you can search the entire course for something. All right. So just so you know that. Okay. So figure out the answer. I don't care. Talk to each other in class. Help yourselves out. Then the last thing you got to do, I strongly recommend you download and install Adobe Acrobat Pro so you can make PDF files. Then you have to answer the question, what's the value to a business of being able to convert documents to PDF files? Consider sustainability. That is what? That is for the Lorax, right? So, and if anybody here not know what that reference to the Lorax is? So if you don't know that, then you're going to have to go out and Google that too and figure out what the Lorax was. Should bring it in the class.
During the class, just watch it.
That'd be good. I could record it in no, I better not record it in Integrity. I'd be in big trouble. So yes, go watch the Lorax and figure out why we want the Lorax as a friend of Adobe PDF files. Okay, good. My God, it's only 10 o'clock and we're all done with class. All right. So make sure when you answer the questions in here, you then hit the submit button, okay? Because you won't get any credit for the assignment if you don't hit the submit button. Make sure you get this done by Saturday. For your SID, I don't care what you put in there. It could be anything, just so we don't get people confused. All right, so that's that. In the meantime, for the rest of class, we can start talking about ICE 101 and flat files. Okay. Oh, wait. I know what I'm going to do. So I'll give you folks a few minutes to finish up. I'm going to take roll so I can figure out who you people are. And then also, maybe I don't want to know who you are. Let's see, what is this? 342. Okay. So I'm going to pause the recording, take the roll, so I can figure out who all your smiling faces are. And then we'll talk about, give you an idea what Project 2 and Project 3 is all about, and then talk about that ICE 101 and flat files. So, hello. Read Project 2 and Project 3 if you want to know what we just talked about. All right. So, for material in class, my God, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. ICE 101 and flat files, or why not Excel? What's this all about? Well, we're going to start off by talking about what you usually don't want to do. Okay, so if you look at ICE 101, and even though it says 150 points on the top there, I'm not going to grade this, but this counts towards the participation points.
You don't have it on your projector.
I know. That's because you have to be in the meeting room if you want to see what's going on. See, I'm not totally nuts today. Sometimes I might be. See, we're trying to save energy today. What we're going to, this is why I'm forcing you to learn how to use the dual monitors. To use a method to my madness. This way to see what the other tricks I'll come up with. And actually, the reason I'm doing this is feedback from former students. They're like, make them learn how to use this stuff. Okay. And the problem is because these guys are trying to hire people now. So they want to hire you, but they want you to know how to use this stuff. They don't want to be training you. They're like, Paul, make sure these guys know how, or girls know how to do this stuff. All right. So if you look on what's going on with this in-class exercise, it says download the flat file. Does anybody know what's going on with this? So download the flat file. It says, where am I? Am I in the... Oh, no wonder why things are so screwed up. Hold on a second. Am I broadcasting there too? Oh, this is kind of interesting. All right, I got half the class in the workroom and half the class in the web classroom. Well, that don't matter. At least everybody can. Since I'm broadcasting to both, I never tried this before. It looks like it's working. Okay, so what's going on is you can right-click this flat file and say, instead of save target as, you can also say save link as. Depends what browser you're in. So what do you want to do? All right, I'll just put in 342. I'm just not even going to create a folder. All right, so I downloaded it, and I can open it. And what does it do? It's got all this stuff in here. Let's see. So, how many lines are there? I don't know. Control Home takes you up to the top. Control End, not the letter N, but END, the N key, takes you down to the bottom. So there's 1,491 records. All right? Control Home. And so, one of the problems with Excel is when you start scrolling down, what happens? You don't see the titles anymore. Anybody know how to make sure you can see that column headings all the time? Nobody knows how to freeze the column headings? You ever go to View Freeze Panes? Okay. Freeze a portion of the screen. Oh wait, I can't see anything anymore. There we go. Okay, so what does that do? See that? See, now when I scroll, you can still see the column heading. All right? So that makes your life easier. All right, so there's data. What's the problem with this data? I don't know. Let's answer the questions. Examine the entries that have been made into the company name field column. All right, it's the first column. How many records can you find for bottom dollar markets? All right, bottom dollar markets, bottom dollar markets. Well, you can go look for bottom dollar markets. How many records are there for the bottom dollar market? Well, and there's another way of doing this too. If you want to look at filtering data, so if you turn on the old filter button, you go under data, click on filter. What's nice about that is now this shows you all the unique entries. Okay, so there's all the different bottom dollar markets. So how many different spellings are there? All right. What's the problem with this? The person was dyslexic, which happens. And actually, this is a good thing for like learning when you have to deal with, your customers. Your customers may have dyslexia. I might have dyslexia. I can't say it. But if you have, if you want to have your customers be able to do entry of data, you're going to rely on them to type the stuff in. You may end up with this kind of situation where they type in stuff and you're like, what world did they just type in? So what you can try to do is get around it some way. All right? So what does this ask? It says, how many records can you find for bottom dollar markets? Watch out for the spelling. And then the second question, it says, how many different spellings are there for BOTTQLM dollar markets? I don't know. That sound like a good idea to do that? Which spelling of number 3 is really good. Which spelling of bottom dollar markets or both dollar markets is correct? Justify your answer. And then number 4 is, what problems do you think a business using this Excel spreadsheet to store order data would encounter? All right. So, what happens when your boss tells you, I want to see all the orders for bottom dollar markets, and you go in and type or look for just bottom dollar markets? Is there any bottom dollar markets that's spelled right? Let's see, there's those. Oh, there we go. We got some like spelled like that, and we got some spelled like that. I mean, it's a mess. So which ones are the right ones? Or even better, who's the contact? Elizabeth Lincoln or Elizabeth Lincoln? And it's like, you really want to, so now if your boss says, okay, and bottom dollar markets isn't the only one you got problems with dyslexic people putting stuff in, or just people are being careless. Do you really want to send a mass mailing or an invoice or anything to your customer where you spell the company name wrong, or even worse, you spell the contact person's name wrong? You think they're going to think you're a professional business or a bunch of people from UW-Eau Claire graduates? We can't say that, can we? Sure. Okay, so you want to look professional, but this kind of stuff, I'm just talking about one specific company here. There's 1,490 records in here. I mean, look at some of these, that one above it, like record 112, BQNLPP. I mean, what is that supposed to be? Is that a real name? I think it's like Bon If, which is above there. When you start getting data like this into your system, it's a mess. Number one, you got multiple entries for the same company. So if this is the company contact information, and you have the company name, is this a good way to store the company contact information? Well, not really, because then, you may know that it's really supposed to be spelled a certain way, bottom dollar markets. But somebody else may not know. They hire somebody and they haven't told them yet, and they don't know the drill. And they try to go look up an order and they can't find it. They think you're nuts. Or you start, try to run queries and say, okay, I want to see all the orders for bottom dollar markets. Well, how many different spellings are there? You may have actually 1,000 orders you've sent to that place, but you got 15 different spellings, and somebody comes back and they don't put all the incorrect spellings in there and don't capture all the orders, and you don't really know how much you've shipped to that person. And this is the kind of stuff that businesses drives them nuts. Fastenal every month, a lot of times they will send out to their customers. The customer will say, well, we want to see a summary of all the orders we place with you. Okay, so if bottom dollar markets is one of those places, and you try to go in there and search for bottom dollar markets, and you say, okay, here's your orders, and there's 10 of them, they come back, oh, you're nuts. We've ordered a lot more than these 10 orders. Well, then you go back and find out, oh, wait, we spelled them differently. Oh, well, can you imagine having to do that on multiple companies, multiple customers, go look for all the different ways somebody spelled a darn order? It'll drive you insane. So, I'm not saying that Excel is not a good way to store files or store data. And one of the reasons I like to bring up this example is a lot of times what happens, and especially in small companies, your boss will say, look, set up a spreadsheet and just start keeping track of our customer. Okay, so you do that. Then they're like, oh, well, start keeping track of the customer order information too. So now you got the customer information in there, and now you're putting in, each time maybe copying and pasting and putting in the order information over further to the right. Then you get multiple entries. then you happen to misspell the name, or the contact name changes. So on the 15th line now, instead of being Elizabeth Lincoln, maybe it's, Joe Schmo. So then somebody goes back and starts looking at your records and well, who's the contact? Well, I got 5 different people listed for bottom dollar markets. I have no clue. Does anybody see a problem with this? I mean, you start thinking, okay, so what's the current shipping address for this company? Maybe they moved. So you got records from 5 years ago from their old location. It's is that the new location? You might know, but the new person that hired in might be oh, no, where's Thorough Boulevard? Can anybody here spell Thorough Boulevard? Why would anybody put that in? Or is it Thoyer Boulevard? Why don't you just call it Main Street? So, these are kind of problems that companies have to deal with. And the Excel thing in actually the project I just mentioned for people over at the retiree center, that's pretty much what they did too. They started out with Excel, and then they started realizing, oh, wait a second, we got so much data in here, maybe Excel is not the best way to do it. So that's what Heidi was working with them last year, was trying to convert from the Excel massive table put it into different tables. Actually, I should say Excel file. And over the years, I've had students that have been working over at Merchants, and one of the vice presidents over there knew the student and started talking to him and started realizing, hey, wait, it sounds like from what you're saying we should probably have this in a database. And so that student did a job on the side for Merchants Bank. Well, what Merchants had done, and this is kind of stuff that happens in business. They've been buying banks. There was just an article in the paper, they just bought 2 more. Well, when they buy banks, they buy loans. Well, how you keep track of your loans differs from bank to bank. What they started doing was they just started making the spreadsheet bigger and bigger and bigger. Pretty soon they ended up with this massive Excel file. It had about 150 columns and about 1,300 rows with all kinds of information in there about loans from different banks at different times. And so, they just added more columns when they bought a new bank. Some of that information didn't pertain to the other ones. So basically, it's even worse than what you see here on this one, because not only you have different spelling errors possibly, but then you have some information is not used in anywhere else. So your spreadsheet basically looks like Swiss cheese with holes in it. It's okay, this column here for, FDIC insurance, it's not used in every single one, so half of them have no entry in it. Is that right or wrong? Well, I don't know. Deal with it. So what do you do in a situation like that? Anybody have any idea what did Merchants do then? Well, first thing they did was call my student. The first thing my student did was what? Call me and said, what are we doing about this? Anybody have any idea what you do? Okay, well, that's the purpose of this class, to learn what you can do with this stuff. What we had to do it for them, and this is the key to what goes on with databases. What's the difference between Access and Excel? You can store data in both. Big thing is, how do you manipulate and work with the data, right? So in Excel, Excel is really set up to work with numbers. But even though I love it, they put this little data tab here. They do have some database features in Excel, which, people are done and this is what happened is people oh, I know how to use Excel, so I'll just use the data features in Excel, forget using Access. Well, you can do that to a certain extent, but what happens with Access is set up to handle data. And relational databases are set up to make your life easier. There is a trade-off. There's a learning curve for learning how to use Access instead of Excel, but then there's a lot of thought that has to go into the upfront process of creating your database. Chances are you're not going to make a huge database to run your business. Something like using Oracle or PeopleSoft or SAP application that may run a business like FastNow. You're not going to do that with Access by any means. But Access, a lot of small businesses start using it to do different things like keep track of customer lists and things like that, or the stuff that I was talking about with Merchants. They had the loan portfolio, they started in Excel and they're like, oh wait, we should put it in a database. And so what happened with merchants, one of the things is, you start out with Excel, and Excel will work for a while, but then you start thinking, okay, this is not going to work anymore. I got too many errors, too many repeating different values, slightly different spellings of stuff. It's a mishmash. What happens is, what Access does, the tables, that's the first thing we're going to talk about in Access. Tables are where you store the data. So you're going to have a table is going to be a related data on a certain topic or subject. So can anybody think of what's a certain topic or subject that might be related that you'd put into a database? Okay, how about employees? All the information on employees in one table. All the information on customers in another table. All the information on your inventory in another table. Information on what's in your warehouse in another table. Any topic or subject. If you're into hospitals, you can have it for medication information. You can have surgical procedure information in separate tables. You can have your doctors, what your doctors are licensed, what type of specialties they're licensed for in a separate table. As a matter of fact, has anybody here worked at the hospital, Winona Health? Winona Health has a program called Cerner, and a couple of years ago, myself and Professor Snyder were down there doing some work with them. They upgraded the Cerner Millennium. And one of the things I wanted to find out was reporting capabilities. And so I asked them, I said, so how many tables are in this database application that you have to run the hospital? And they said, anybody hazard a guess? How many tables do you think it took to run a hospital? How many different individual tables that have information? I mean, shipping information, you take cash or check or charge, financial information, accounts payable, accounts receivable, on and on. How many tables do you think it takes to run a business? Like the hospital, roughly. 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 7?
100.
More than that. For the hospital down here, they told me they had, for Cerner, for the application that the hospital software ran in, 50,000 tables. And I'm like, how can anybody even understand that? And they're like, well, nobody really understands how the whole data structure works. People know different sections of it. I'm like, well, but what you really want to get out of databases, and we'll see this as we go through the course, you want to be able to get out data, write queries, find information, write reports up. I said, how do you set up reports? They said, well, we have about 150 tables that we figure you can get the primary information that you're going to need for report writing. And we have like a subset of those that we put into our report writer. I'm like, ew. And they said, those are the ones you want to learn about. But the lesson with all this stuff is, this may seem like it's a lot of work, but I'll tell you, if you really want to do good at a company and make yourself useful when you get to a company, figure out what kind of system they're running, whether it's PeopleSoft, Oracle, SAP, Microsoft has Great Plains and Dynamics AX. Whatever the financial software is, learn how to use it, learn how to do the reports. And so there's really, because that's what companies rely on. Can you produce the information we need to make our decisions? And if you're one of the people that can do that, you'll be very valuable to them. If not, well, you'll be just another person that is going to be in the numbers when they lay you all off and say, thank you, here's your watch, 10 years of service. Enjoy working at McDonald's. All right? So, being able to do reports and report writing, a lot of what you're going to learn in this class, again, you can learn as much or as little as you want here, but a lot of what you're going to learn in Access is applicable to other applications. A lot of, as I just mentioned, the report writing functionality, there's a lot of software that has that built in that looks very similar to what you can learn in Access. You can write reports up from scratch. You can take existing reports and modify it. If you go to work, they used to call it Crystal Reports. Now I think they call it Business Objects or something. It was bought out by SAP. It's a report writer. All right? So all that whining was all about that. All right. So the moral of this story is Excel is not a very efficient way to store the data because you have duplicate data, you have holes, the Swiss cheese stuff in the data. It's not a very efficient way to store it. It's not, when you try to go back and retrieve the data, when you have multiple different values for the same thing, like different ways of spelling the company name, that is not good. Because what you got to think about, all that data in the database, eventually you're going to want to write reports with it. So if you're trying to do something as simple as mailing labels, and you print out mailing labels for all your different customers, and then you mail stuff out, you know, anybody ever remember the Sears catalog? Right? You ever see how big that thing was? So would you like to be the person that was in charge of shipping out all the Sears catalogs to your customers? And then you use an Excel database that had, 15,000 entries, and 5,000 of them had wrong, erroneous information, misspellings on your clients or duplicates or wrong information. What happens when you ship out, 15,000 catalogs, 5,000 of them are wrong addresses? What does the post office do with that stuff? They charge you to send it back usually too. Not only do you pay for it going out, you pay for it coming back. So you want to be telling your boss, yeah, we just spent $100,000 to send out 10,000 catalogs, but you just told me to send out 15,000. Well, 5,000 of those were bad names. And, oh, by the way, we paid shipping backwards and forward, or out and in. I mean, it's not going to look good for you. Anybody ever hear of Postal Soft or First Logic down in La Crosse? That was one of the businesses they were in. They were in the business of basically vetting addresses, making sure they were good addresses for companies that send out stuff. You do bulk mailings. You want to be sending bulk mailings to, occupant at a vacant lot? Probably not. It's a waste of your, printing resources and mailing resources. So this stuff has a lot of practical business application. All right, so take a look at that. I suppose that's probably about it for today, unless anybody has any questions on anything else. Install the software, do Assignment00. We'll start talking about, maybe we'll do the website and then start talking about the Access introduction next week. All right? Otherwise, have a nice day. Have a nice weekend.